All right, hello and welcome. I hope you all like the ads here. This video is not sponsored, regardless of the ads shown about food. It might make you hungry though. Welcome to our little live paint party here. We are going to paint this month's SHELFie box. So this is our monthly subscription box with Little August Ranch. This month is an 18-inch round sign. And I love the bees. My in-laws have many hives now. So lots of honey all the time. I also threw in this bonus craft. Now these are just bonus pieces. I explained that in the email that our members received. These are, I did give a couple suggestions on how to use them, but ultimately you can do whatever you'd like, of course. That's kind of what's fun about open-ended crafting. So one of my ideas, though, just to get you started on some ideas, would be to stack 3 on one side, and then maybe stack the frames, have those even. Of course, I don't have the glue holding it in place at the moment, but then you could have kind of like a shadow box style honeycomb. You could also layer this a few different ways and kind of do the same thing. You could do 2 separate pieces and have them mirror each other on the shelf to make like one kind of big honeycomb as seen in the photo down here. I saw somebody, now given they were painting much bigger honeycombs, but she painted really cute flowers on all of them, and I thought that was really pretty. So that could be an idea. So anywho, just some ideas to get started with that. Again, that's a complete bonus craft. This was a very large box, but I still wanted to throw in a little freebie. I love throwing in offcuts so that you can practice different paint techniques, along with just being creative. It's so much fun. Anywho, that's enough about that. Now, my kids are supposedly taking naps. So we might be interrupted. We will probably be interrupted, but that's okay. It's part of having a home-based business, and they're very much so part of everything we do here. Now, I did not think about how large this piece is, so I am going to raise my stand up here, hopefully, and don't mind. Like I said, my kids just went down for naps. So we just went straight into this. So there are still crumbs from lunch, but I figured the crumbs will still be there after this. The kids will not still be napping though. So we use our time wisely. So this is the sign. Again, very large 18-inch piece. It is cut in half to help with shipping, but we will show you how it's going to go together here. And I say we, royal we, just me. So the first thing we're going to do while we, the first thing we do here, we're going to flip everything over. So you've got your round base that's in 2 pieces, split right down the middle. You're going to flip both of these over. And again, this is a very large piece. This is 1/4 inch wood. So it's very durable. It holds up very nicely when pieced together. You've got these additional 2 half round circles. These are your backers. You do not have to paint them. You do not have to do anything with them. You could, if you wanted to. Maybe your area gets really windy and your sign gets turned around a lot. I don't know. But there you go. So you're just going to glue and place them somewhat in the center. It does not have to be perfect by any means, but you are really going to want to push down where that seam is. And I told you we would be interrupted, so one moment. What? No, Carson's upstairs. I'm doing a video, though, for the SHELFie box, okay? You need to go upstairs and nap, okay? I'll let you know when I'm done. Thank you. Alright. Alright. Sorry, we had a connection issue there. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I will most likely respond to them after the video for full transparency because it is hard to see if anybody comments or such, especially with the angle that my phone is at. Alright, so again, that is just your base. We're going to let that dry for just a few minutes. I do like to use Barely Art glue. I transferred it to a smaller squeezable bottle. So that is not, I'll have to get the actual bottle to show you guys sometime. But it's called Barely Art, Bearly glue. And it has been my favorite glue to use for crafting. Alright, I'm actually going to move this out of the way for now. It's going to go sit in a different chair. Kind of in timeout. Again, not sponsored, but you got all these grocery ads if you live in the area. Alright, so the next piece we're going to go ahead and start with is our honeycomb. We do suggest marigold. We use primarily deco art paints. Today I am using a variety of different paints just to show you different brands, but also to use up my stash because, you know, I need to declutter my paints. What, honey? I don't know. Can you go back upstairs, please, and nap? I don't know right now, honey. Oh, that's smelly stuff. Sorry, guys. Again, my kiddos are just kind of around. They're supposed to be napping, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to paint this kind of a marigold color, nice yellow honey color. Again, I am using different brand paints. I've got a few different ones today. I do have a Deco Art. I've got Apple Barrel, Craft Smart, just kind of using up what I've got. But you're just going to paint the entire honeycomb yellow, and you'll probably want to do a few passes of this. You could also prime it first if you really wanted to. Love you, Ivy. I can tell she opened a bottle of baby essential oils, which are totally harmless. They're actually not even essential oils, totally watered down. But boy, I can smell it. She just walked by. But yeah, so you're just going to paint all of this yellow. Honey, you can paint with me after your nap, okay? Go nap first. Yes, after nap. Yes, honey. Alright, sorry guys. Again, kiddos are around. Not apologizing for my kiddos, as this is a home-based business, more so or less. We actually work out of a garage primarily, but they are very much so involved. But I did try scheduling this around nap time. But I honestly never know if my kids are going to nap or not. You could use a big sponge too for this process. I actually typically use a makeup sponge. But again, we work out of a garage, and somehow I left all of those sponges at the garage this week. Don't know how I did that. I usually have a lot here. But, you know, things happen. Hi, Rosie. Alright, so again, this is this month's SHELFie box. I absolutely love honey-themed and bee-themed items. So when our designer released this one, I had to hop on it for you guys. This is designed by the Sawdust Makery, and I am part of a program with her where this file is exclusive for a whole year. So very, very, very few shops actually have this file. And so it's hard to come by. So you do get a lot of exclusivity with the SHELFie box. Not only is this file already hard to come by in general in the crafting world, because you cannot just buy it, you have to be part of her club. But then we do not sell the file or the sign. We won't sell this exact product for at least a year, if ever. So the only way to get our SHELFie box items is by being in the SHELFie box. So again, you're just gonna completely paint this. Sorry, I feel like I'm catching my breath now after getting all the kids down for a nap. Oh. Whew. So you can use your brush, you can use a sponge. And I actually kind of like how this is turning out. I like seeing the wood through it, but I might still do a couple coats of that at a later time. We will see. All right, so those pieces are done and painted, and I really should have planned out more space for putting stuff aside. So not only did you get all the items for your round sign, I also included all 3 of these ribbons, and we will go ahead and make this bow together. So you got some twine, you got 2 pieces of twine, one to hang the sign and one for the bow. How adorable is that? I love this pattern. And then a burlap checkered plaid. It's called buffalo plaid, right? And then a blue polka dot. So I did not cut any of these yet, trimmed them. That's why the bow looked very haphazard. But I wanted to just show you guys the individual ribbons. We'll tie that all together here in a moment. All right, let's go ahead and keep going with our yellow pieces. So this is the center of the flower. It was kind of hard to see there. So I'll show you with the big piece. This is going to go on our big sign as well. Everything will. And do I have those? Yeah, I do. So these are all etched out, and that makes it really easy for you to then glue together. It's a nice little guide, and they're not visible after you glue them. So it's very nice. So this centerpiece will be yellow, and then we're going to do our words yellow. So we have hello, honey. And then we're going to go ahead, I'll show you here. We're going to go ahead and paint these inner stripes yellow from the bee. So that will be 3 stripes. Our pieces are typically, when you have pieces that go inside something like this, almost everything in our shop is like this. They are cut out completely so that you can get really clean lines. I have a friend who has trimmers. I get bumped a lot with kids. My kids want to paint a lot. So any of those reasons and many, many more, this makes it really nice. You don't have to have a precise hand at all. You can take a brush, just kind of paint it haphazardly. Apparently I like that word today. And you're not going to have to worry about having messy lines later on. Especially nice because this will be black, and it can be really hard to correct once you get black. If, especially with yellow, if we had gotten any black on the stripes, it'd be harder to paint over those. You can always sand down with a very fine grit sandpaper, and that can also help clean anything up if you do make a mistake. Paint is typically very forgiving, but when you're using a very light yellow with black, you know, maybe not the most forgiving at that point. All right, so my 3 stripes are painted. I'm going to move this base out of the way again, but that will come back later. I'm going to go ahead and paint our yellows. So for this project, we are primarily using a yellow and blue color scheme with a couple other accent colors, and I can show you that again here. I like how that turned out a lot. For the words, I am going to go ahead and use my sponge. Again, I usually use like those little white makeup sponges. This is a bit bigger than I prefer, and it soaks up paint a lot more. So I do prefer the smaller sponges, but when you have 3 little kiddos and are, I don't know, 6 months pregnant, like myself, you forget things. So I will just be happy that this is happening at the moment in general. We have anywhere from 18-inch round signs that go in the SHELFie box to other seasonal items. Last month we had, oh gosh, what was last month? Now I'm forgetting. We recently had like a bunny theme for spring. So this one's more of a spring slash summer. It's kind of an in-between seasonal box because we do want to make sure that you have plenty of time to finish your pieces and still be able to display them. So we're not going to be sending you, say this is March, so we're not going to be sending you an Easter themed box in March because, well, last year, Easter was in March. And then this year Easter's later, but still we want to make sure that you have plenty of time to actually complete your pieces and not feel rushed or stressed to do so. This is supposed to be a very relaxing project, very enjoyable to do. And so the last thing we want you to feel is like you're under a time rush to do any of it. All right. I did just get a new heat gun. I'm curious how that would work with drying the paint here. But today is not the day to test that out. Not on a live video. I will have to test it out on my own later. Alright, so while I still have my yellow paint out, I am going to go ahead and add a second coat to the pieces that we just did not long ago. So the honey drip and the honeycomb. Now we have some people who really like to make sure they get all the edges painted, like in here, on the outside. I don't really worry about that so much. If paint gets in there, like you've seen down here, I sponge it in. But I typically just do the top. There are some things that I do really like doing the edges on, particularly things like white marshmallows for any of our winter pieces. I like to do the whole outer edge too because it gives a really soft look to it. So if you want a softer look, painting the edges can definitely help achieve that style. Y'all, I'm really running out of space here. But that is all right. We will figure it out. This table has more paint from my kids than from me on it. But today might be the day that I add to it myself. So anywho, if you paint the edges, it definitely gives a softer look. If you don't paint the edges, it can give a crisper look. I want to say cleaner. I don't think there's really one side or the other on that. It's kind of the same side of a flipped coin in a way. Totally wrong expression there, but that's okay. It is amazing. I think all three kids are actually asleep now. My daughter is 3 and she heard me talking, and so she came down to see if her older brother was downstairs because she has to always do what he's doing. She absolutely loves being with him always. They recently got their own rooms though, and that's been interesting because they still ask to sleep in the other's room after begging for their own rooms, but that's kind of what we expected to have happen. So my daughter does actually have another bed in her room just because we have an extra bed in the house, and so we're like, well, let's just set it up. So she has an extra bed in her room, and he will go in there for naps, and they'll just listen to audiobooks. I use the word nap very loosely. It's more like quiet time. I don't know. The baby naps. It's really funny. Our oldest and our youngest love their naps. The middle, not so much. And she kind of needs them the most. Alright, so that is all of our yellow. with an asterisk because I always seem to find something later on that I forgot. So don't hold me to that, but we will see once we get to the end of our pieces here. All right, so I'm just going to rinse out my brushes. And just going to grab a napkin here to dry that off and set it aside. Now, this is another reason I really like the smaller sponges is because they're easier to clean versus these big guys really do hold in that paint. But if you use these big sponges damp, which I did not, I couldn't tell if I heard another kiddo coming down or if that was just my glass of water. I think it was my water, but we shall see. But if you use these bigger sponges damp, it can really, really, really spread that paint around nicely on those bigger surfaces for you. So this is one that you need it, I don't know, because the areas are so small. It's still a big surface, but smaller paintable areas. So anywho, everyone finds their preference, and we'll often get people sharing what they prefer, and then we learn new tricks, and then we try them, and we're like, yes, that is amazing, and we do love that. Excuse me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for a bit longer this time. Now, this is why I really love the Barely Art Glue. This is already dry. This is dry and held together. Like, I can hold it, it's hard to see with on camera. I'm holding it with one hand. My other hand's over here. And it's all held together. So that is a huge reason why I love the Barely Art Glue. It is quite nice, very sturdy. I love that I can hang pieces on it easily. Or like, what I mean by hang pieces there, we have a stand that holds round signs, and just using Barely Art actually kept the stand sturdy enough for me to hang heavier pieces like this on it. I was very, very, very impressed. All right, so this is our main sign. Now, in our example photo, I used black, or she used black in the example photo. I'm going to go ahead and do a different style for you guys. We're going to do a paint stain. What I mean by a paint stain is we're going to stain the wood, but with paint. Now, this is a trick that we love to share with others. You don't have to go out and buy wood stain. You can use what you have at home. This also makes it really convenient if you, or very fun if you want colored stains. So like if you wanted a purple stain or a pink stain, you can achieve this look at home without having to buy anything extra. And that is what we love. We love having multi-purpose, especially in a house with kids. Everything has to be multi-purpose or you run out of space very quickly. Hello, Cindy. All right, so I am just wetting my sponge. This is where I do love the big sponge. I know I keep saying I love the small makeup sponge. I do love the big sponge to get a wider area quickly. So I'm just covering the areas that I want to paint with some water. I'm going to use a light brown. Again, you could use pink, blue, red, yellow, orange, whatever colors you want. And I'm just laying that down on my palette, picking it up with my sponge now, and I'm just going to brush it over. So what this does is this lightly stains, and I may have put too much water on my sponge. Again, these things hold on to a lot. But I'm just going to lightly stain. Another option I'll show you here. Excuse me while I run around the house. Again, everything in our house has to have multi-purpose because we live in a smaller home with a lot of people. So baby wipes are very much so multi-purpose in our household. You could also use a damp paper towel for this. I'll show you here. So you can stain the wood with that. Let me show you what it would look like in a color. So I have blue here. Now this part's all getting covered up, so that's why I don't mind showing you what this would look like. So again, just going to take my baby wipe or a damp paper towel, a sponge, anything, paint sponge. Let's not use a dishcloth sponge. But you're just going to paint with your baby cloth. And you see how that starts out really pigmented at first? But as you rub it in, you still get that wood grain effect. So it's just like a colored stain. I wonder if can't really zoom in here, so let me show you on here. So you still see the wood versus when you paint heavier, you don't really see that wood underneath. So I hope that makes sense. That's how we do colored stains in our shop, or stains in general. We are often using a paint with a trick like this, with a, I guess they would probably call it like a painting wet, or a wet paint technique, where the item you are using is wet with your wet paint versus painting acrylic paint directly onto a dry surface. So I'm going to use my sponge just to cover a large surface. Putting a little bit more on because this is a lighter color, and like I said, my sponge is a bit on the wetter side right now. But I'm going to kind of lay it on a little heavier and then wipe it off a little bit with one of those baby wipes. So again, everything can have multi-uses. Baby wipes come in handy for so many reasons, especially in our household. I have joked that even when the kids are out of diapers, and I have one kid in diapers right now, it makes it sound like all of them are, when everyone is out of diapers, I will probably still buy baby wipes for painting and for wiping hands, because, oh my goodness, that is what we're usually using baby wipes for when we're out and about. So again, in case you're just joining us, this shows the what a colorful stain would look like. Alright, so here, anywhere these lines are, it's going to be covered with our honeycomb anyways. So I'm not so worried about like getting this outer, I'm not so worried about getting this outer edge here. I'm more worried about just getting the center of the honeycombs. So again, like we want this to be an easy but showstopper of a project, right? We want you to enjoy it, but still have people think, wow, you made that. Just like, wow, that's homemade. You did that kind of reaction. Or if you give it as a gift and people are like, where'd you get that? Well, I made it. Like, how great of a feeling is that when you give something homemade and people ask where you bought it? Alright, so again, I'm just wiping this down. That will have a light brown stain effect. So you can see how much paint that's picking up. I'm not putting any pressure on this. I am just lightly brushing it over. And we're going to set our base aside once again while that dries. Oh. Alright. Next up, again, just to see your reference here, we have done the base, although I did not do it black this time. I'm doing it stained brown so that you see a little variety. We are still going to do the background here blue to match our ribbon. Which, again, if you wanted to match the ribbon fully, doing the black background would really match this ribbon. However, it also matches the brown. And our bee will match the ribbon anyways, with the black and the daisy with the white. So I'm really not worried about keeping our palette fairly simple. Let's go ahead and move on to, we're going to do our blue next, actually. So this piece here is going to be in the center of our 18-inch round sign. So this is a large piece, and I love that. I'm going to get I really should have had like multiple paint dishes here. A paint cup is currently saturated very yellow from our last color, so I might have to go switch that out soon. So I am going to be using this light blue, crystal blue, with a desert turquoise. Ugh, tongue twister for me for some reason. So light blue with a slightly darker shade of it. Again, we recommend deco art. That's where all these names come from. But I am kind of just using up what I have in my supply. So I'm using a light blue with a different turquoise by Apple Barrel, and then actually just a house paint. Alright, I think no, Ivy, I'm not done yet, okay? Sorry, what, honey? Not yet, sweetheart. Soon, okay? Sorry. Alright, honey, hold on. Alright, so we're going to paint this whole background here a light blue. And don't worry about covering anything, because if you can see here, the lines still show up. So we're just going to paint the whole background this light blue, and then I will show you how we're going to incorporate that darker turquoise here in a moment. So even though I am covering the whole background, you really don't have to worry about getting anything that's within these etchings if you really didn't want to, because they're going to be covered by pieces, by our decorative elements. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover I want a bit of a thicker coverage on this, so whereas I did the stained look on the background, I really do want a more painted look on the rest of this. I do love the way the sponge sounds on the wood when you're painting with it. Alright, and I'm just going to sponge over the bee lines here so that they are a little bit more prominent. You can see how as the paint dries, they do show up clearer and clearer. And it's exactly what we want. We don't want those covered up. But everything else here covered quite nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do is, why this is still damp, I'm going to rinse out my sponge again. My cup here is getting quite murky, so I'm probably going to go take care of that here in a second. But just with my sponge, again, these things really hold onto the water quite well, which you don't always want. So maybe having one or two dry ones just in case would be handy. But I'm just going to cover the tip with some turquoise and lightly sponge the edges. If you ever did scrapbooking, or if you do scrapbooking, I don't know if this is still big in the scrapbook world or not, but we used to take like the ink pads and just stamp the edges of the scrapbook paper to get this effect. So that's essentially what you're doing again. Long ago, my mom had a scrapbooking store in our basement. So I would actually go on the retreats with her to our local hotel resort in town. We lived in we'd call it a small town growing up. It's definitely not anymore. it has really filled in, but the point still stands. I would go with her and scrapbook with the other women, and almost everybody would do this technique where they would take their ink pad and just like sponge the edges to get this effect, more dimension. So it really doesn't have to be perfect. It can be sloppy, but you really do want to make sure it's at least thin so that you're getting it to blend a little bit. Always add more. You can always add less or do less in the first place. You can't really add less. But if you make a mistake, you can always paint over it. That is the wonderful thing about paint versus scrapbooking. You can actually repair your mistakes fairly easily. Again, unless you're trying to cover black with yellow, that's probably not going to work out as well. And then you'd want to sand it down very, very lightly. All right. So I like how that's looking with the teal. But I think I want to add a little bit more as I'm looking at my example photo. I do want it to be able to be a noticeable element while still blending in. So I did just go ahead and add more onto my sponge, and I'm just going to do the same thing again, but maybe at a slightly, so before I was at this kind of angle, and I'm not going to attempt to tell you what degree angle that is, but I'm going to go at it at a more flat, direct angle this time. The sponge itself is already angled, so that definitely helps keep it lighter. And I'm just going to go ahead, again, with a very light hand. You can see how it does end up adding. And look at that, your thumb works just as well to blend that in a bit. And I'm liking how that looks a lot more. It's just a little bit of a thicker border. So I'm going to go ahead and just brush that around the edge. And then use my finger now to blend it in a little. That was not planned. But again, everything has multi-purpose, even our thumbs. Oh, I'm going to have some awful quotes from this today, but that's okay. I'm going to take my baby wipe again to kind of blend that. Because it did get a little thick in some areas there. Go ahead and get a new baby wipe just so I don't accidentally turn any of this green from using the yellow. This does bring up a good point though. If you get to it while it is still wet, I could put pressure on this and probably get most of this down to wood again, to bare wood again. If I just put a heavier hand on using that baby wipe or a paper towel. Although the paper towel would probably shred a little bit more than my baby wipes do. All right. I got that a little thick. Go ahead and just add it. Now it is getting more strokey looking because my light blue has officially dried completely underneath here. So depending on what look you're going for, you do want to add this element pretty quickly if you're adding a sponge border. I like how that looks. Alright, so I'm going to let this dry for another few minutes at least before adding some polka dots. So you'll see, if you look very closely in our example, you'll see it has white polka dots. We did that to match the ribbon. So we are tying all of our elements in together so that it all flows nicely and it all looks like one nice complete project by the end. And we are on to our white. So I have our white from Deco Art here. Never did manage to get the plastic wrap off because usually I give up and just untwist it anyways. Alright, I think I'm losing the battle of attempted nap times. You guys may go quietly sit in the living room, okay? Just be quiet, I'm still doing a video, okay? Alright, my kiddos are officially joining, which is fine. Fine for me anyways. If you don't like it, you can go on to a different video, I guess, I don't know. That is if you're not Little August Ranch. Thank you, buddy. You like the yellow? Thank you. And I do only say you can go on, I mean the people who aren't part of our group, because the people who are part of our group tend to not mind the fact that we are a family business. But I could see people who have never come across us maybe not understanding. I don't know. There's been a lot of stuff on the internet lately. I ignore it for the most part. Can you paint with me? Can you find some scrap paper to put underneath that, honey? Ivy. Alright. Alright. I'll help you with that in a moment, Ives, okay? I don't know if you guys can hear her voice in the background or not. Is she... no paint on my pillow. Thank you. Yeah, but... yeah, let's just not put pillows near paint. Not right now, sweetheart, okay? I just give me a few minutes. Alright, I might be losing the upper hand here, guys. Anywho, you're gonna paint this lace white. We're gonna get to assembling here so soon. Yeah, and then painting it for the SHELFie box, okay? So I need you guys to be quiet. Okay, you can be a part of it, but, you know. Ivy, you can set it down for now, and I will help you in a moment. You can use markers with Carson on it. I don't have your paints right now. All right. So the lace is going to be white. Your wings are going to be white, which look like this giant heart. So you'll have two hearts. One heart goes down here. One goes up for the wings. We're going to go ahead and paint those wings white as well. I've totally given up trying to get that plastic wrap off of. Yeah, honey, leave these here, okay? Set it on the chair, Abby. All right. Hello, Faith. All right, so there is the white. Now, we're also going to go ahead and paint the giant flower white. I'm not going to do a border on this one. However, a sponge border like how we just did on the blue could look really, really nice. Maybe in a light gray or even a color, because I learned, I think it was like 2 years ago now, I didn't know that daisies could naturally be different colors. I know in the grocery store they achieve that effect with like food colorings and such to put in the water and make daisies turn colors from white. But you could add a color around the border. You could also do it with your paintbrush like this instead of a sponge. Just to show you another method of doing that. Now we are painting this whole thing white. Alright, so once you have those petals painted, you can set them aside. And I love the Deco Art whites because they cover so nicely. Again, we recommend all Deco Arts. However, I am using a variety of paints right now. What, Ivy? What would? No, honey, right now I'm doing a video, okay? You need to bring it to me. Alright, sorry. My daughter is a little artist who wants to get involved so badly. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Nap times aren't working out. Because you guys don't take naps. Nap times are not working out. You need to get a video done for you guys. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Maybe we need to do. Maybe they just need to run the video for me. I think I like that idea the best. Yeah, Ivy. Right now the table's completely full. So can you wait? How about you sit down on the floor with it? Okay. Yes, Carson. Well, so buddy, right now what I'm doing is I'm making a video online, and there are people watching right now. Guys, I don't know. I feel slightly. Would it be schizophrenia? I don't know. I like the way my son's talking to me right now. I feel like this is all in my head, my video right now, because he's make believing that he's doing the same thing. So I don't know. I'm feeling a little crazy at times, in a good way. He made me feel very old today, I will say. Yes, you made me feel so old today because you said that you and Ivy were going to go straight to bed just like we do, like parents. And I don't know, something about that just made me feel very old. We do like to go straight to bed. The best way to go to bed, just straight to bed. Ivy, I don't have paints for you right now. I don't know where the kid paints are. Some of my paints. I'll have to help you with my paints in a moment because they stain. You need to put paint clothes on. On your paint shirt, yes. It's okay to get paint on your paint shirt. Oh my goodness, guys, I just broke my brush. Oh. Yeah, the top came off. You know, this is a lot more entertaining than just me alone. So we'll just let my son be the peanut gallery in the background. Alright, hold on. Let me think through. Guys, I think I forgot black. How did I leave black out? Oh my goodness. You're black. Well, I thought I had black paint, but I must have left my black paint elsewhere. At the wood shop. Carson, can you go down to the basement and see if you can find black paint for me? Alright, guys. So, Carson, can you go find black paint and red paint for me? Alright. It's downstairs. Can you go with Carson to look for it, please? Alright, guys. We are going to go ahead and start gluing together the base here. I managed to leave several colors I needed. Carson, can you please go get those colors so I can finish the sign? Thank you. Alright, so again, the back here is secured with these round rings, but it's also going to get doubly secured by putting this right in the middle. So our sign is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be breaking in half. It's going to be nice and solidly secure. All right, this is the most exciting part to me after the actual painting. We're going to go ahead and start gluing. So again, oh, I got some glue way up there. This is the Barely Art glue. It is spelled like a bear with an L-Y. And it is so sturdy and very thick. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and add this to the top. And then we're going to let that sit so that's nice and secure. But push down on it, just get a nice attachment. These lines show you exactly where to put everything, so you're never guessing. Alright. Alright, so this is really starting to come along. Kirsten, can you please go look for black paint and red paint, please? Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and add in this yellow. Now, again, the Barely Art is really strong and secure. You do have, I believe the company says you have about 20 minutes before it's fully set up. But I have experienced you really have maybe 2 or 3 minutes before it's really hard to get off again. So you do have time to move elements around, unlike super glue. Ivy, I will help you after I'm done with this, okay? You can use markers right now, but I will help you with paint in a moment. Alright. Alright. The kiddos are getting a little crazy. But that is alright. We will make it work. Okay. So we've got our yellow added. Alright, so that's going to sit right there. And then here in a moment we'll add this next piece. Now, I do want to try and scooch this down just a smidge. And then before I glue this, I just want to see how it's lining up. Alright, so I do want to make sure that these are forming some nice close gaps. Because I don't want actual gaps in my finished work. And you can really see how the stain looked. So again, that stain is just paint applied with a wet sponge or a wet baby wipe, which all baby wipes should hopefully be damp. Or a damp paper towel. But yeah. Alright. So that is glued down. Before I add anything else though, I do want to go ahead and add our polka dots like I mentioned before. So I want these polka dots to be really light and almost barely there. However, not only did I forget my black paint and my red paint apparently, and my makeup sponges, I also forgot my dotting tool. So that's okay. We will make do. So I do have little dotting tools that help achieve a thinner dot or a smaller dot. But we will go ahead and use the back of a paintbrush instead. So again, this also shows that you really don't have to have anything fancy or special to get the same effect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this piece. Since it's dry, I would not be doing this if it was not dry. But I'm gonna be using this as a sort of guide. And yeah, we're just gonna put a little white dot at roughly every dot on our lace here. And I'm gonna use it as a ruler as well. And I'm even putting it where this bee is. Well, I'm gonna skip that one because it's totally covered. But right here, just you guys found black and red. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Is this a black?
Almost. That's okay. Alright, I might have to paint my bee black later. Alright. So then, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to go ahead and in between all of these scallops, do my next dots. Carson, honey. Sorry guys, we just had a massive paint spill. Okay.
Now I got paint on me.
Yes. It's okay, Carson. Oh, we have paint on our foreheads, guys. We have paint on our faces.
And our eye.
Oh, okay. Open up. Let me see. All right. This is also why you want to.
And our eyebrow.
Oh, y'all, this commentary is quite hilarious today. All right. Now we know not to open paints without mommy, right? All right. Alright. I'm sorry, buddy. Go rinse them out, okay? Okay, go to the bathroom and rinse your eyes out, okay? Alright. Oh boy.
Can you put paint on my paper now?
Honey, I still don't have kid paint.
Or can I put your paint on mine?
No, this paint is not for kiddos. I will help you when I'm done, okay? Okay, I will look when I'm done here. Alright guys, sorry, we just got red paint squirted everywhere in the dining room. But let's get back to our dots. And we are actually very close to being done here. So again, I'm going to just use this scallop to line up all my dots. Because how great is a built-in tool? Alright. I love the spacing there. And I'm just going to line it up again. And as we get to the wider part here, I might need to go in. Oops. Totally spaced on what I was doing. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, so here's a good example though. If you get to it quickly enough, you can pretty much wipe it all away with a wet item. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and space it. I spaced it way too close before, that's why I had to wipe it away. Space it just like that. And I'm just kind of lining it up with the dots at the top there. This guide I did not have lined up the same way anymore. Maybe it was like that. Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Oh, the dot got really thick. But that's okay. It will have a more lovely painted look to it. Do it there. I'm gonna make that one a little thicker so it shows over the honey. And somehow my dots got off over there, but that's okay. I can always add more dots after I've added the elements as well, like the words. I'm going to do a dot there and a dot there, and it does help if you do sound effects. You like my dots, Ivy?
Yeah. And can you please look for some kid paints now?
No,
Why?
because I'm working right now, and I will look for kid paints when I'm done. Alright, so I am running into a slight problem of how, unless I've got some wet paint on this. Alright, we are almost done here. I'm going to go ahead and right about there is good. So again, I'm kind of mimicking my blue ribbon here. That is the blue background with the polka dots on it. I'm just going to go ahead and skip over that B because nothing there is showing. I did do some in there. Sometimes it's nice to do some dots in here just to get thicker sploots off the end of your brush. And you don't have to worry about the size of it as much because it does thin out as you go. Again, just going to use the scallop there. As you can see, this is inside the daisy. It was a bit thicker there than I'd like. So it's a good way to get some excess paint off of your tip here. Alright. So I hope you enjoyed that tip there. I love that we have a built-in ruler. And then part of me wants to just freehand it at this point. However, I know if I do that, I will regret it. So I'm not going to. Oh, you're right. I could dip it in the lid. But I already have paint on my paper over here, Ivy. She is pointing out that I have paint in the lid. That probably would have been much, much, much easier for me to do like that, huh, honey? Sure, give me one moment. Alright, I will dip it in the lid just for my daughter. I don't know if you guys can see her little hands or not. Starting to help out. Alright, let's go ahead and freehand. Oh, hi, hon. I'll put one there just as a guide. Sometimes you need that little guide. Sometimes you don't.
Or I could put the rest of this white paint.
We're going to do a dot.
White paint.
Although that's completely covered by the daisy, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and do some more right in here. Maybe I should have left it so that I had more of a border. Okay. Your little hands. Alright. Well, apart from my B not being black, we are done. Now, I did just start putting glue on my words here. However, I do need to wait for those white dots to dry. So, we'll set this over here. And instead, I will take our scallop. I got my director in here, guys. Alright, again, next time they're just going to do the commentary for me. They are much cuter and more entertaining than me. Alright, Alright, we are gonna, oh, Ivy, honey. Alright. Painting with a show. Next time we just need snacks. Alright, I love how I don't know, this is giving like tea room vibes to me. I'm loving it. Not right now, honey, okay? Alright. Let's go ahead and let's add the hello. I think we're just going to be very, very careful not to smear anything. Alright, again, the etching here is a guide, and then it's slightly smaller than the words. So it completely covers up once you put this on. All right. Don't stop, please. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is our monthly subscription box. Hello from Arizona. Hi, Holly. Hi, Rosie. I don't know if you two agree, but I definitely think this is giving tea room vibes. It's a very vintagey, doily feel, and I'm loving it so much. It's turning out even better than I could have imagined. Alright, so we're just going to line that up. Hopefully I didn't smear any dots there. All that white smear is just glue. Alright, so again, I need to paint my bee still. I just telling you guys I'm trying not to smear the dots, and I just rubbed that all over. Hold on, Ivy. So I still need to paint my bee, but we'll go ahead and put those stripes in there. We'll put the little heart in there. We'll put his wings on. Later on, once my bee is dry, because I do need to get black, I'm going to add some white edging, give it kind of a drawn look. I'll show you how I'll do that on the daisy here, though, so that you have an example. You can do this again with a small detail brush, or you can use a dotting tool, or you can just use a paint pen, which is what I'm going to do today. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put glue. Again, you've got your etching here to show you where all the petals go. We're going to put this one here. And we're going to put this one over here. And I've got my assistant. So if you look before gluing this on, you'll see the angles go two different ways. So you'll just line it up with what makes sense to the flower. And with once again, with the Barely Art glue, I do have a couple minutes to pick it up, move it around. This is already, it's on there. So you saw me just put that down not long ago. So that gives you an idea of how much time you have to work with. The honey, I can pick it up a little bit, but it's starting to get set in there pretty well. Blow that away. Alright, these are some of my new favorite paint pens so far. They're called Master's Touch. They're just acrylic. They're actually called acrylic markers instead of paint pens. There's no priming needed at all. So the paint pens that I grew up using or seeing used a lot, you had to like push down a lot and then paint would go everywhere, and I did not like that. So I recently found these not too long ago. Just checking how we did it before in the example. And I really like it. So I just slowly draw that on. I'm going to do another small one and then some dots. And that just gives it more of a drawn effect. I really, really, really like how that turned out. So I love these acrylic markers instead of paint pens. I don't know if there's truly a difference between markers or paint pens, if that's just what this brand calls them. They are still acrylic paint, but there's no priming. So yeah, it has that felt marker-like feel. So much easier for me to use. I could never use paint pens that needed the priming without creating a huge mess and just not turning out so well. Alright, so before we wrap up, again, I'm going to paint this off camera once I can find my black paint. But that's essentially how that would look. Our stripes go inside, and that just gives you a really, really, really clean finish. You don't have to worry about black getting on your yellow because you're painting the bee black without the stripes. And again, it's really hard to paint yellow over black. So if you did get any smear, I love that our pieces fit inside like a puzzle versus trying to paint within that, if that makes sense. I don't know. I need to find the right words for it. Just know you get a really clean finish. So I am just scooping. I put a lot of white paint down on my palette, so I'm quickly just scooping that with a clean brush back into my paint bottle. So again, you can just pick that up. I'm probably going to drop white paint on this if I don't move it out of the way. So that way I don't waste as much paint. I scoop it back in there. And I can do that because it was on a clean palette and not on any other elements. So that is our complete sign apart from the bee and the little heart getting painted. I'm later going to add some more white detail. You can find that in our exclusive Facebook group, linked in the comments in a moment. Once we're not on live. Oh, ha ha ha! See, I moved my sign and I found a whole nother element. I thought something was missing.
You were. That's why I gave it to you.
You gave it to me, but I wasn't paying attention. All right. So again, Barely Art Glue. I really should try to work with them because I love their glue. I tell everyone about it. We get absolutely no kickback from them, which is fine. I would still tell everybody to use it. They also have some really cute craft projects on their website, and they have some free monthly SVG files. So if you have a Cricut, they're mostly paper crafts, but that could be really fun to do with your kids if you have kids or grandkids. So Barely Art, pretty sure they're .com, but don't quote me on that. All right, there we go. Now the sign is mostly done, apart from my pale bee, but that pale bee will get painted later, and heart. So really quick, while I still have you, I will show you how I did the bow. Now, you could do a classic bow like this, wrap it around. I found that the center knot that makes, let me just do it so I can tell you what I mean, or show you what I mean. The center knot, when I was layering it on top, got really bulky really, really fast. So instead of doing that, I'm basically just going to make the shape of a bow without actually tying it. Alright, and that way I get these nice flat edges, just the way I want it. I'm going to go ahead and take away our non-sponsored advertisement there of the grocery store ads and take a little kid's finger and hold it there. That also brought a smile to his face. This piece is going to stay flat just like that. Trust the process. This piece is also going to do what we just did over there, except I'm going to try and center it up a little bit better. Alright, so first I'm going to straighten out the wire, and that would help me a lot.
Mom, do I have to lift my hand up soon?
Yes, honey, very soon. So I want this bow to be a little bit longer on the edges than the last bow. Alright. We're going to go ahead and put that in the center. Right there. I know it looks like a huge mess right now. Just trust what's about to happen. Hopefully I can do it live on camera. If not, well, So you might have to rewind that part in the replay, as I didn't explain it very well what I just did. But basically I smushed everything down, took my twine, and just started wrapping it. Alright? And that just gave me the best result for the look I was going for. Now, you might find a different way to do it, and that's totally fine. So I'm just going to tie that off now. Carson, can you go get me some scissors, please? Carefully. All right. Probably in my basket, honey. Sorry, folks. Gotta look for the scissors now. All right. Don't tell my mother or myself once I would never usually do this, but I need to use my kitchen scissors apparently because I cannot find mine. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the blue first just so that I have a good reference as to how long I want my B ribbon. We're going to just slowly cut that into a little point. And then I'm going to get some fire. I don't know if that's allowed on Facebook Live videos, but essentially I'll take a lighter very, very carefully. Thank you, honey. That can go down here now. Just to seal these edges so it doesn't unravel. I'm going to go ahead and do that on my own time. Just, for liability, I'm not telling or showing anyone to play with fire. But, yeah, that just seals the edges and keeps it from unraveling. So I just cut that side, and I cut that. I'm getting super excited about how this is looking. Hey, kiddos, move your hands away from the scissors, please. Yeah. Sometimes we get super excited, and little fingers end up a little bit closer than they should. All right. Go ahead and cut that a little bit more of an angle. I don't like how sharp that was looking there. Or aggressive of a point, I should say. Sorry, I'm moving that away. Yeah. So you can really see how that's coming along. You have our uncut, unruly side and our nice, clean side. So next, I'm going to do my best to kind of just eyeball the length here. Once again, you can always cut more. You can't re-add. So I did that a little messily just to get an idea about the length. I think I'm inching into that where I don't want to cut anymore, even though it's not perfect. So I really don't want to take any more length off of that, so I'm just going to leave it be. Because I would rather have it be the right length and not quite the perfect point than have it too short, personally. This is like trying to draw the other eye in a drawing. Trying to match these points up precisely. But that's much better. And then this guy over here, my daughter is collecting scrap ribbons now. Be curious to see where those end up around the house. Okay, let's go ahead and... Why is this so hard for me to match up the...
Mommy likes when I scratch her back.
Yeah, it does feel nice. However, you are kind of tickling me while I'm trying to cut right now.
Why?
You are.
Mom,
What, honey?
I can see the bow.
Alright, there we go. So then we would attach our bow up here to the top. I think I'm going to go ahead and use some hot glue. So I'm going to have to, again, attach that later. But then you do have another piece of burlap or of twine to tie into. No, honey, hot glue is something totally different. I will have to show you what hot glue is.
I already know what hot glue is. You used it to try and fix my Superman monster.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well for us, did it? Yeah.
I'm sad that broke. At least I still have it, but I don't know where it went.
I don't know.
It's somewhere in the house.
I don't know. You get caught red-handed here, guys, right on camera. All right, so there's your rope. You can get a thicker rope if you'd like. That's just what is included in your box this month. Glue it on. Again, my pale bee will get painted. He'll get a tan. He'll turn into a proper bee, and the little heart will get painted. But I definitely forgot some elements from the wood shop to finish that. But there it is. So you get the base, you get all the elements. The only thing you don't get is the paint and the brushes, but you even got the ribbons in this month's box. So a quick little overview of how this goes together, in case you're just joining us. The back has these 2 half circles, and that's what pieces it together. That's how we get to ship 18-inch round signs to you guys. So again, 18 inches. This sucker is huge. And in the front, I really love how vintagey kind of feel this is, like a tea, like again, kind of tea house. So once my bee is painted, he will go there, his stripes will go in, my bow will go on top, and voila. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We will do our best to get to everybody. You can get your SHELFie box at littleaugustranch.com under our subscriptions tab. This was March's box, so I'm pretty sure we have March completely closed off at this point. But if you like what you see, then do not miss out. Do not hesitate to join so that you can get next month's box. And my two kiddos here, I'm not going to show their faces on camera, but they do help pack the boxes, and they actually packed the majority of this box this month.
I hope you guys like it.
Yes, we hope everybody likes it. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week, and happy crafting.